Good morning and welcome. My name is Carrie Ross. I am the Midwest Energy Affordability Advocate with the Natural Resources Defense Council. At NRDC, we work to ensure our state's energy and environmental future is clean, equitable, and affordable for everyone. I'm happy to be here today to speak on behalf of the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition, or ICJC. Lately, we've seen stories in the news almost every day about communities fighting to protect their local resources from the threat of massive energy and water-intensive data centers. Advocates with the ICJC have heard anecdotes from folks across the state regarding their concerns, but we wanted to know, how do the people of Illinois actually feel about this industry and the legislation we've put on the table to regulate it? So we worked with the Global Strategy Group to poll voters across the state. The results are clear and match what we're hearing in our communities. Illinoisans are deeply worried about data center development. The majority of voters view data centers unfavorably and are tired of seeing big tech get special treatment while everyday families and businesses struggle. Skyrocketing utility costs dominate voter concerns on data centers. We are already experiencing rapid price spikes driven by the unprecedented demand these facilities are putting on our grid. For example, data centers today represent 1% of ComEd's electricity demand, but have contributed to a 595% capacity cost increase. This means they will pay 1% of the total $1.7 billion capacity bill this year and leave all other ComEd ratepayers with the remaining cost. That's unacceptable. The good news is that Illinois voters overwhelmingly understand that we need to rein these companies in. The POWER Act is about making sure data centers pay their fair share. It protects your wallet from unnecessary rate hikes by ensuring that the companies creating this demand are the ones paying for grid infrastructure like new power lines and energy costs, not you. If hyperscale data centers intend to build in Illinois, they must showcase responsible operation by being powered by and investing in newly built clean energy that is good for our pocketbooks and our climate. But this isn't all about money. It's about honesty and transparency. For too long, these facilities have been built following backroom deals and non-disclosure agreements. The POWER Act changes that. It stops data centers from signing secret deals with local governments and utilities and requires community benefit agreements so that no project moves forward without neighbors having a seat at the table. Voters overwhelmingly support the accountability and transparency provisions in this bill. The POWER Act also sets common sense guardrails for our water resources. These facilities can gulp up to 5 million gallons of water a day. The POWER Act enacts the rules needed to make sure our clean water is protected and that these companies act like good neighbors, not just water and energy vultures. The good news for our leaders in Springfield is that listening to the people is a winning move. Nearly 70% of voters support the POWER Act off the bat, and support grows to 75% when voters learn more about the bill. That includes large majorities of Democrats, Independents, Republicans, and voters outside the Chicagoland area. 3 in 4 Illinoisans can't even agree on an official state sandwich right now, but they do agree we need to pass the POWER Act. Across the state, by a double-digit margin, voters say they will view their legislator more favorably if they vote yes on this legislation. The POWER Act will ensure working people aren't left footing the bill for data centers by putting common sense guardrails in place to end backroom deals, hold data centers accountable to paying their fair share, and ensure they act responsibly with Illinois' precious resources. I urge the General Assembly to listen to your constituents and vote yes on the POWER Act this spring. Thank you. I'd like to now turn it over to House Majority Leader Robin Gable. Representative Gable.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Robin Gable, State Representative Robin Gable. I am the Majority Leader in the House, and I represent the 18th District. Illinois is a state that's known for leading the way. We passed the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act in 2021, setting Illinois on a path to 100% clean energy by 2050. Just last fall, we passed the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act, which doubles down on our climate goals and invests in new clean energy technologies. like battery storage. We passed these clean energy bills because the public was demanding more affordable energy bills, cleaner air, and healthier communities. With the rise of data centers, once again, the public is concerned. Legislators across Illinois are hearing from constituents about data centers, concerns over water use, over secret backroom deals with big tech, and over rising utility bills because of these facilities. The poll the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition is releasing today confirms what legislators already knew because of the outcry from their constituents. Illinois across the state are gravely concerned about the threats that these facilities pose. If data centers want to build in Illinois, they need to prove that they are not bringing more harm than good. State regulations are needed to raise the bar and force these companies to be good actors in our communities. That's what the POWER Act requires. I've got good news for my fellow lawmakers. The POWER Act is widely popular with voters across the state, with 3 out of every 4 Illinoisans in support of this nation-leading legislation, and for good reason. The POWER Act, as you heard, ends backdoor deals and requires data centers to transparently engage communities in any agreements. It also ensures Illinoisans like you and me aren't left footing the bill for energy and water costs related to data centers' massive energy and water use. These protections are common sense. Advancements in technology that contributes to the need for data centers could be good for climate progress and clean energy development. And many of these facilities could bring with them important benefits to local economies. With the POWER Act, Illinois is showing the rest of the country that these advancements don't have to come at the expense of higher bills, dirtier air, and polluted water. This spring, we are going to prove once again that Illinois leads, and we will pass the very popular POWER Act to regulate data centers in this state. Thank you. Carrie?
Thank you so much, Representative Gable, for your leadership on this critical legislation and for listening to the concerns of Illinoisans across the state. Next, I'd like to turn it over to our sponsor in the Senate, State Senator Ram Vilivalam.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be here. Ram Vilivalam, State Senator for the 8th District, which includes northwest side of Chicago and northwest suburbs of Cook County. I stand before you as the proud sponsor of Senate Bill 4016, the POWER Act. I had some comments, and it's important to understand this is a very complicated issue. But today we're here to talk about how simple the message that we received from the polling that was done is. You heard already, first and foremost, we're asking for what is common sense. We want to make sure that there are common sense guardrails as it relates to not shifting costs onto our ratepayers at a time where affordability is a central issue for every working and middle class family across the state. We want to make sure that we're instilling transparency and accountability. We have seen across this state 500, 700, 1,000 people showing up to meetings where municipalities are looking to take this issue up, and they're demanding basic transparency and accountability, and we are going to deliver that with this legislation. We're also stating that as you build anything in this state, really, but in this particular case, data centers, help us pay for it, help us bring your own energy, right? That is, again, another simple concept that we're trying to make sure doesn't have a detrimental impact on our residents. And then also, of course, one of our most valuable, if not the most valuable resource that we have in our state, which is our water. Making sure that there are water efficiency standards, water reuse, making sure that, frankly, as a father of a 7-year-old and 4-year-old, that we are, through all of these policies, making sure that we're doing right by the generations to come. And it's, again, important to note that we put this legislation forward through many meetings with the coalition and others with residents, getting their input on what they wanted to see. And this poll just proves what has been put forward. We do stand ready to work with other stakeholders to get this across the finish line, because I think what we also received in terms of information from this poll is the sense of urgency. We need to act now. Data centers are already here. We have not said no to data centers. We're saying, here's how. Here's the blueprint that we need to embark on in order to make sure that this doesn't have a detrimental impact on working class families across our state. And it also is going to ensure that our resources are there for generations to come. And so I'm proud to sponsor this legislation and work with this coalition, and we do need to get this done now. Clearly, if we can't agree on sandwiches and we can agree on this, we need to get it done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Villivalam. Last but not least, I'd like to pass it to Lori McKiernan, a community advocate based in Springfield, Illinois, who will share more about what she's hearing from communities across the state.
Good morning. My name is Lori McKiernan, and I'm a community advocate and member of the Sangamon Valley group of Sierra Club, Illinois, based in Springfield. Over the last couple of months, I've spoken with many folks across the state about data centers, and I've heard the same story time and time again. Communities are angry and frightened by the influx of these facilities across Illinois and their total disregard for the concerns of the local communities. The poll reveals that voters have myriad concerns about data centers, but are particularly worried that data centers will increase utility costs for local residents and use up our fresh water, all while posing major health risks to those local community members. We've heard horror stories from Aurora residents who were faced with polluted air and a lot of noise when the local Cyrus 1 data center ran on polluting backup diesel generators for 3 days. We've heard from environmental justice communities in Chicago and Metro East who are concerned that this burgeoning industry is going to come into their neighborhoods, set up shop, and add to the unsafe levels of industrial pollution that families already endure every day. What's more, every community member I've spoken to across the state has said that data centers have lacked transparency in the proposal and approval processes and have largely disregarded the local impacts that these facilities will have. That's certainly true in my own community. Just last week, the Sangamon County Board approved a $500 million Cyrus 1 data center near Waverly, Illinois, approximately 20 miles from my home. The project approval comes after months of public outcry, and we remain committed to fighting for a community benefits agreement so that data center brings more benefits than it brings harms. The concerns in the poll match what I'm hearing across the local town halls, in information sessions, and in community forums on Facebook. Illinoisans are looking for state government to step up and protect them from these potential harms. Thankfully, that's what the Power Act does. I'm not surprised that the policies in the Power Act are wildly popular with voters, because the bill is a direct response to the concerns we've been hearing from communities for over a year. The legislation requires data centers to transparently engage local communities to and contribute to intervenor compensation funds. That means, so that impacted communities are protected from those harms. It also prevents data centers from signing non-disclosure agreements with local governments so that none of these projects can move forward as backdoor deals without community input. If data centers want to continue coming to Illinois, they need to do so responsibly. The benefits need to outweigh the potential harms. We need more transparency, more guardrails, and more protections. The Power Act establishes these protections and is a critical step to ensure data centers contribute more to the communities than they take. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. And thank you again to our bill sponsors, House Majority Leader Robin Gable and Senator Ram Villivalam. As you've heard today, we are fighting for legislation that offers common sense protections to a problem that's front of mind for Illinoisans across the state, which voters want to see come to life. They want assurances that data centers won't operate covertly with local governments, increase energy bills, and deplete our water resources, all while negatively impacting our communities and quality of life. It's time for state lawmakers to pass the incredibly popular Power Act and ensure data centers are held accountable. We're now happy to take any questions from the media. Thank you.
I'm curious what the motivation behind the poll was, kind of, why take this poll, and then how the results are going to help push this bill forward.
Yeah, I can comment on kind of the inception of it. As Lori and I specifically mentioned, we've been working with communities for the last year across the state of Illinois, advocates, policy experts, to kind of dig into what should this bill represent. And so we had the solutions in the bill, but we really wanted to hear from voters. What are they thinking? Folks who identify as Democrat, Independent, Republican, folks in and outside of the Chicagoland area. How does this resonate? Given that the ecosystem is rapidly changing with data centers coming into Illinois. So that's part of the inception of why we really put out this poll. And I can let others speak to maybe how it would be used.
Sure. So I do think that this emphasizes the urgency that Senator Villalobos talked about. I think that it helps us when we bring stakeholders to the table to have this poll that shows that people want this. They want it done now. They don't support just the data centers as they've been establishing, setting themselves up, making backroom deals, that they are very concerned about protecting their water and their energy. So hopefully it'll bring stakeholders to the table, and we'll get this done soon.
Representative Gable, can you provide some examples of deals that you've seen go through that that you don't think are transparent enough, or that this legislation is designed to fix?
Yeah. Well, I can't, because they're not transparent. So, I mean, what we've heard is that the towns, we actually had a hearing the other day, and I believe it was Aurora mayor who did not reveal the arrangements that they made with the data center. And he supported continuing just being able to make these backroom deals without letting the public know what they are.
DeKalb.
Was it DeKalb? Sorry, it was DeKalb. We had Aurora and DeKalb there.
And Christine could
If I
speak
can
more
offer.
to that.
Yeah.
Hey folks, Christine Anicelli, Sierra Club, Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition. We had a resident come down from the city of Joliet as well, speak to the House committee, and talk about essentially a backroom negotiation that took place in the city of Joliet for close to 2 years. And the residents were really only engaged in the last month, at a point in time when really the decision had already been made. In FOIA documents, the overwhelming majority of over 1,300 pages was entirely redacted. I'm sure Lori can speak to this in Sangamon County, and one of the Sangamon County board chairs also testified in that committee that he hadn't seen the community benefits agreement that was negotiated. He had to vote on the project. He serves on the Sangamon County board. He didn't get a chance to see the community benefits agreement. So we're seeing these processes move forward without having folks have a real seat at the table, and that's a profound concern. And this is one of the most comprehensive bills in the country. And to answer your question, we wanted to get a sense and see how well some of these solutions pulled. And overwhelmingly, folks said, we want to end backroom deals. We want to see our water resources protected. We want to protect vulnerable communities from air pollution. So the numbers speak for themselves. But those are just a couple of examples that are pretty striking.